Pat's Talk Patriots podcast. Today on this Patriots episode, we will be me and got special guest, very good guy, man, over at Patriots.com and Patriots Unfiltered. We got my buddy Paul Perillo coming on the show. Let me go ahead and get Paul in. Paul, how you doing, man?
How are you, Ken?
Pretty good. Appreciate you taking time out your busy day to hop on with me, man.
Don't confuse me with that Phil Perry guy now.
Hey, I'm glad you got that.
You guys are the same.
Yeah, I almost did. I'm glad you caught that, man.
No, that's all right. He's one of my favorite guys. He does a great job here and very good friend of mine.
Yes, sir, man. First off, man, how long you been with the Patriots, man? Just covering them, man.
This is going to be, I believe, my 27th season. So yeah, it's been a while. It's been a pretty good ride. You know, a lot of fun, a lot of success. Not as much lately, but certainly nothing to complain about with all the Super Bowls and whatnot. But 1999 was my first season. The year before Bill Belichick got here, the last year of the Pete Carroll era. So it's been a pretty fun ride.
I watch you guys on Unfiltered every Tuesday and Thursdays, and then I know during the season is Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, right?
That's correct.
And then y'all do the pregame show and then the postgame show.
Yep.
You guys do a fantastic job, man. How is it working with the guys? But I know it's a few of y'all up there. I know Tamara left this past year. I still got Alex, Mike, man, he's good, man. Evan. And Evan always seems like he's in a bad mood sometimes. About Fred does a great job, man. I love the chemistry you guys got.
So Fred and I have obviously worked together for a long time. He's the one who hired me, so he's been around even longer than I have. And we do have, I think the two of us have great chemistry together. We love to bicker, but we also agree on a lot of things too and have a lot of fun together. I think Mike is sort of a great lighthearted foil in the middle where he wants to talk about defense and the team, but he also likes to talk about Jaws and, movies and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So he has a good mix of the entertainment and, the team. And I think that you think Evan is probably in a bad mood all the time because he doesn't like it when we don't talk about football.
I noticed that.
He has to be breaking down the X's and O's for Evan to be engaged. I think he's not in a bad mood, but he always appears like he is. He doesn't really have any time for Mike and I when we go off on tangents. And Alex sort of keeps us grounded as that woman who sort of knows a little bit about everything. She can tell you about nutrition. She can tell you about pop culture, and she sort of keeps us all connected.
Moving on to the team, Gerard Maye, we all know what happened last year. He's gone. In comes Mike Vrabel. And I've been listening to you guys on the show on the PU show during the week. What is the biggest difference so far that you noticed just in some of the practices you've been through? I know you guys been in the locker room a little bit. What's the biggest difference? Like, is it because I'm optimistic? I've been covering the team. I've been having my podcast for a couple of years now. I'm optimistic, and I haven't felt this way in a while. And then I know you can come off sometimes as being the snarky and the negative guy, but you seem kind of optimistic. I'm kind of like, okay, if Paul's optimistic, and I'm hearing like some of the normal people some of the regular people that be kind of negative, they kind of coming over to the positive side. I'm kind of sensing a little bit of optimism about this team, man. How you feeling about the team?
Yeah, so I appreciate you saying that because a lot of people do sort of criticize me because I'm not always quick to jump on a bandwagon and just say, well, everything is great because the team that I'm covering, the team that I work for, made a move. If I think the move is a good one, I'm going to say it. So when they have an offseason like this and they add some players that I think are better than the players that they replaced, guys like Milton Williams and Robert Spillane and Carlton Davis, Morgan Moses, I think they had a good offseason. So I'm going to say that, as opposed to last year when Gerard Mayo was here and the moves were all about re-signing the players that had won 4 games the previous year. And I wasn't all that excited about that. So I would say that too. So I appreciate you sort of saying like, well, geez, I'm going to take a step back. Paul's, seems like he's pretty optimistic about this too, because that's the way I want to be sort of felt. Like I want people to say like, well, Paul's going to tell you what he really feels, not what he thinks I want to hear. And I am a little bit optimistic about the team. Now, we can talk about all the individual moves, and I'm sure you have some questions about that. But the number one factor in all this that's going to come down to is Drake Maye.
We're about to get into him shortly.
How much better he is than he was last year is going to go a long way to say how much better the team will be than it was last year.
Just to piggyback a bit, when did you think Gerard Mayo would be just 1 year and done? Like, when did you think it was probably the final nail in the coffin? I think it was that Cardinals game when they went on the road, coming off the bye, they didn't show up. Then they came back. I think they had the Chargers, or was it the Bills?
Yep.
It was those games. I think it was that, and you saw the owners up there. You saw Robert and his son Kraft, Bob Kraft up there, and the Raptors and whatnot. How they were looking, how they were talking, and how they were looking in the suite. I think that's probably when it started. When you think it was done, when Gerard was done?
So I think that's a good jumping off point, that Arizona game. And to answer your original question, no, I didn't think he would be a one and done coach. And that was the first time in the back of my mind that I thought there was a chance. I just didn't think there were any signs that it was getting any better during the course of the year. And there was, a couple of games, and that Arizona game would be one of them, where I felt like they got thoroughly outplayed by a team that should have been, quote unquote, on their level. The Cardinals weren't a great team last year, just like you weren't a great team. Another example of that, I would say, would be the Tennessee game. I thought Tennessee really moved the ball against them, at will in that game, with Mason Rudolph playing quarterback. And I felt like those are teams that the Patriots should be on par with. And in the Arizona game specifically, I'll give you another one, Jacksonville in London.
Yep.
Jacksonville.
That was a brutal game.
Jacksonville and Arizona really kind of blew you out. And they were teams that didn't win a lot of games. So when the Arizona one came around, I started thinking this might be a one and done situation for Gerard. And, no one wanted to see that happen. We all like Gerard. But the fact of the matter is the team didn't get any better during the course of the season, and I think they felt like they had to make a change.
With Mike Vrabel coming in, and Josh McDaniels is going to be there, and we're about to move on to Drake Maye right here. I think they're gonna drive Drake Maye, control the ball, not control the clock, but just take care of the football. They're gonna drive that discipline into this team, the offense, the defense, special teams, and mainly Drake Maye. That Drake Maye had 15 touchdowns, 10 interceptions last year. Now, when you go back and look, it still goes down to an interception. About 5 or 6 of those interceptions weren't really his fault, but that's not a category for that. It still was on him or whatnot. He had a couple fumbles. I think, given the talent that he had last year, I just thought Drake Maye played pretty good. I mean, the receivers weren't really that good. They really couldn't separate. Offensive line was a mess. They had practice squatters and undrafted guys. The offensive play calling was bad. It was just rookies all over the place. It was a mess. And he still put up some okay numbers from with what was around him. How do you think he did last year, and what are your expectations for him this year?
So I think there's definitely all the stuff that we had heard about him in the draft coming out about his physical traits. We saw them. We saw the ability to move around and make plays, make throws off platform, the athleticism, the ability to run, and the ability to throw on the run. I think we saw examples of all of those things from a skill set standpoint. So unlike Mac Jones, who, he obviously succeeded, the questions for Drake Maye will not be about, can he physically get it done? We know that he can. We saw him do it. Physically, he can play at a good level in the NFL. The questions are going to be the other stuff that you talked about, Ken, is can he cut back on the turnovers? And yes, some of them weren't his fault, but there were a lot of bad decisions also. And, there's times with the accuracy where it gets away from him a little bit. I think that some of the fumbles were examples of him trying to do a little bit too much. That might be part of what you're talking about with not having a great structure of talent around him. Hopefully they've improved in some of those areas offensively. But if he can protect the football a little bit more, and then he's going to have to find a way to play better late in games when the games are on the line. There were a few examples last year. The Rams game at home was one where, they were kind of getting outplayed most of the day. But at the end of the day, they had the ball. I think they were down 6 points late in the game. They had a chance to go down and score, and he throws a pick. So he's going to need to be better in those, fourth quarter clutch, late and clutch kind of situations. He's going to need to protect the football better. But from a physical standpoint, I'm as excited as anybody about what I saw.
I think, when Josh McDaniels, he's did pretty good with Brady. He's did okay with Garoppolo, Matt Jones rookie year. I think him and Drake May, I think it's probably a match made in heaven because I think McDaniels is going to drive in, hey, take care of the ball. If it's not there, take the check down. And McDaniels with his scheme, I heard he's kind of changed it a little bit. It's probably going to be the same. He's going to get the tight ends involved. He's going to get the slot receiver involved, the running backs involved. Which play on the offense you think is going to benefit the most from Josh McDaniels? I heard you guys talk last week. I'm a big Pop Douglas fan. I knew you like Pop, but you ain't ready to call him an Amendola Edelman yet. I think he's probably gonna be the biggest. Probably everybody wants to talk about Stephon Diggs, and I like Kyle Williams too. But I think with Pop Douglas, I think this scheme is going to fit him well. And I was listening to Phil Perry podcast. He said he was talking to people. I think it was at the Super Bowl. He said that they were surprised. He said that the word was that McDaniels was surprised how the Patriots weren't really using Pop Douglas a lot last year. I think I heard Phil Perry say that on a podcast when he was at Radio Row at the Super Bowl. So how do you think Pop Douglas will fit in this scheme with Josh McDaniels?
So I do think that out of the guys that are returning, he's probably the one who figures to benefit the most because McDaniels has definitely accentuated that slot position over the years. The question will be whether or not Demario Douglas can, sort of withstand that kind of heavy volume. He had a lot of targets. I mean, I want to say he had about 90 targets last year, so it wasn't like he wasn't used. Right. But I could see that number rising significantly with McDaniels. And can he hold up? He's a smaller guy. When you're asking a guy that size to go between the numbers all the time, he's going to take some hits. So how he withstands the physical rigors of that position over the course of a season will go a long way. But I do think that he stands to benefit probably the most out of all the returners. Mm-hmm. I think Stephon Diggs, if he's healthy, is a really kind of a perfect kind of McDaniels receiver. He's a very technically sound route runner, great hands, ability to get open quickly. If he's healthy, he's gonna obviously be a valuable asset to Drake May also. But if I had to pick one guy, it would be Demario Douglas.
How you think that the top 3 or 4 that depth chart is probably going to set? Because me personally, I think it's going to be Diggs if he's healthy. Diggs, Pop in the slot. I think it's going to be Kayshon Boutte at 3. And I think Kyle Williams probably. I think he's going to be a good player for them. I just don't know because with McDaniels and with Belichick here, they kind of like the ease the rookies in. Unless he goes off in training camp, I don't see him starting right away. I think he's going to be active. I think he's going to be probably rotating with probably Diggs because Diggs might be on a snap count and maybe Kayshon Boutte to start. How you think the top 4 going to be like? Then it's a logjam at wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could look at it that way. I think they have a lot of bodies at wide receiver. I don't think they have a lot of answers there. I feel pretty good. I mean, I know Kyle Williams is going to be part of the equation somewhere. Like, as you said, he's a rookie, so we don't know.
Have you liked what you've seen with him?
Yeah. I mean, I think, physically he looks like he's got the athleticism to uncover quickly, but we haven't seen him in pads yet either. So we'll see what happens when he gets bumped a little bit. And, he's going to have, Gonzo and Carlton Davis, 2 pretty physical corners that he'll be going against in practice. That'll be good for him. But Kyle Williams will be part of it. I think Demario Douglas will be part of it. And Diggs, if he's healthy, will definitely be part of it. Boutte's the guy that you mentioned. I think you're right. I would like to see him sort of get an opportunity to fill that X role on the outside. I thought he did enough last year.
I like Kayshon.
I think he had a pretty good spring. So those 4 guys, and then Mac Hollins is the guy they brought in. I don't know how much receiver he'll play, but he's going to be one of the receivers. After that, you can flip a coin because I have no idea, does Jalen?
You think they'll carry 6 receivers or probably 7?
I think they'll probably carry 6, but is it Jalen Polk? Is it Javon Baker? Is it the undrafted kid? Maybe John Giles or Efren Chisholm. I don't know how that's where the battles are going to get won in training camp, but I don't know how good I feel about any of those options other than a healthy Diggs.
Yeah.
So we'll see how they all unfold, and we'll see who mixes well with Drake May, and then how Josh McDaniels wants to use them.
One guy we didn't mention was Kendrick Bourne. I forgot all. With so many receivers.
I left Bourne out. Yeah,
I forgot all about Kendrick Bourne. I seen him. They came down to Carolina last week, participated with Drake May. They had it was Diggs, Bourne, Ramondre. A lot of the pass catches. Hunter Henry was there too. My expectation for Bourne, I actually think. I mean, I'm not really the biggest Bourne fan. I think he's I don't even think he's a number 2. I think he'd be a 3 or 4 on a good team and whatnot. What you see in Bourne, really, man? I mean, I think he has a good spirit, good, just good personality, whatnot. But I think the Patriots need more talent.
Yeah,
they got a lot of good. I think they need the talent too.
I agree with you. I think he's more of a complementary piece.
Yeah.
He does have a lot of infectious energy,
Yeah.
always has in his time here. And I will say, I don't want to write him off because the best year that he probably had as a pro player came in 21 with Josh McDaniels as his offensive coordinator. So I don't know if that's something Josh liked about his skill set that allowed him to unlock him a little bit. But I think he had 800 yards that year, made some big plays for them. So we'll see if Bourne is a little bit healthier coming, now being a year removed from, ACL surgery. And, if he can find a role, he's another one of those guys that has the versatility to maybe play in the slot and play really any of the three spots. I don't really like him as much as an X on the outside, but he can certainly play the Z or the slot. So, yeah, I mean, I do like the idea of Bourne bouncing back with Josh McDaniels. But again, we're going to find out all these answers in training camp. Whoever plays the best is going to win a job, and that's all you can ask for.
A couple more questions before we let you go, Paul. Also, we are with Paul Perillo from Pats.com and Patriots Unfiltered. You can catch them Tuesdays and Thursdays, and during the season, they do a pregame and postgame. Also, make sure you hit the like button. When we go live, hit the like button. Make sure you share the content. Make sure you are subscribed to the Kansas Pats Talk Patriots podcast. This show is powered by the Sportsline Media, man. I really appreciate it. Powered by the Sportsline Media. A couple more questions, Paul. The offensive line. You got Will Campbell, Morgan Moses, maybe Cole Strange at left guard, Bradbury at the center. I said Jarrett Wilson, he's battling through some, so I heard he's gonna be ready for camp. And then you got Big Mike Owenu at the right guard. How you feel about the offensive line? Do you think it's improved? I know it's probably not a lot from last year. I think it's better.
Yeah, it is. It has improved on paper from last year. I think that you had Vidarian Lowe and DeMontre Jacobs were your tackles for the balance of the season last year. I think potentially with Will Campbell, 4th overall selection, and a veteran in Morgan Moses, those should be improvements. Those should be upgrades at the tackle spots, and that's the most important spot. Left guard, I think, is up in the air. I would give the slight edge right now to Cole Strange. We'll see. I'm not as sold on the center position. I do like Jared Wilson. I like the idea of his athleticism on the inside. I know my buddy Mike Reese wrote a little bit about him this week in his notes on ESPN.com. I think he was banged up a little bit in the spring, so we didn't get a chance to see him take many reps out there. But I wouldn't be surprised, say, by October, if he's knocking on the door for a starting job somewhere in there, whether it be guard or center. But I think on paper they've improved it. I think Josh McDaniels is sort of he has experience sort of working around problems in protection, so maybe he can do a little bit better job with it for Drake Maye than Alex Van Pelt did last year. But I'm cautiously optimistic. There's going to be a lot on the plate of a rookie. Coming right out of the gates, he's going to have Max Crosby in week 1, and I know Crosby likes to line up on the opposite side, on the defensive left side, so going against the right tackle, but. Pete Carroll's no dummy. He's going to see a rookie at left tackle, and he's going to probably move his most valuable pass rusher around to try to exploit that matchup.
We're going to find out about Will Campbell quick, fast, in a hurry. I mean, you got Max Crosby, and I like the other guy, Malcolm Kuntz. They got on the other side. Yeah. You got week 2, they got the Dolphins.
Watt. Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips for Miami.
And they drafted a kid from Penn State last year. He had a big day against the Patriots last year. I can't think of his name. You got TJ Watt, Hyde Smith. Carolina they drafted 2 pass rushers. Then you got Buffalo. And we're going to find out probably about Will Campbell and camp starting next week, going up against Keon White and Chase on and those guys. Because during the spring break, you can't really get physical, so you don't really know who's winning, who's not. But I mean, what did you see from Will? Did you like what you're seeing from him?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a pretty fluid athlete. I'm not the biggest, I'm not Dante Scarnecchia. I'm not breaking down. I'm not breaking down the pass sets and whatnot. But I do feel like he had some mobility. Good footwork. He is a little leaner in terms of the body. I think, the whole thing with his arm length, I think probably stems. He's got really narrow shoulders, so he's going to have to win with precision and with athleticism. So we'll see. You're right, because we didn't get a chance to see the physicality. During the spring, we will get to see that, probably starting in a couple of weeks when they get the pads on.
Is there a position group going into camp that you're concerned about? Me, it would be the linebacker. I think they could use another body there. I like Spillane. Giddens did pretty good in Tennessee up on the Vrabel. I think they got Christian LeBron Ellis back. Let's see if Tobias healthy. I think they could use another linebacker. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think they could use another linebacker, pass rusher. I want to see if Braden Swinson could come out. I like the draft they had. I like the guys that they got, but I think they could use another linebacker. I think they're good at corner. They got a lot of bodies at receiver. Offensive line, let's see how that left guard plays out. But I think linebacker, I just think they need at least one more body there.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good position to pick. Now, my number one concern would be the offensive line. We already talked about it, but that would be my number one spot. Linebacker is in there, and the only guy I feel great about is Spillane.
Yeah.
And I do think that he's got the athleticism to play.
I'm scared if he gets hurt, though. I don't know what's going to happen if he gets hurt.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think they have some depth issues around. We talk about corners, and I like the tandem of Gonzalez and Davis. I mentioned them earlier. One of those two guys goes down, I don't feel so good. The edge rushers, they really don't have any. Harold Landry is the only known commodity there. I think Keon White wins with power for the most part.
I think it's a big year for Keon. I mean, I think it's a get on the stool or get up year for Keon White.
Yeah, so we'll see. I think they have some depth issues all around, but a lot of teams do. But they've improved their overall talent from a year ago. I don't know how deep it is, but we'll find out a lot of these answers. But I am, like the way you said it right off the top, Ken, I am a little bit optimistic. I'm a little bullish on the team. I think they have the ability. I think they have the pieces in place and the schedule to win more games at the very least.
Good segue. I'm glad you said that. All right, this is about it right here. What's your expectation for the team? If you got a record, have you decided on a record for this year? Over, under 8 games, 8 wins.
Yeah, I think that's a good number. I think that's a good number. I think 8.5 is the number in Vegas. I would say it's right around there.
I got them at 9.
7, 8, 9. I don't think I would raise an eyebrow with 7, 8, or 9. You get to 10 or 11, and I'd be like, oh, I think they exceeded expectations. You fall down to 5 or 6, and I'd be like, ooh, I would have thought they could do better than that. But, assuming they stay relatively healthy, I think 8 or 9 wins certainly in the ballpark.
If they were to get to 10, Drake May probably played pretty darn good. You'd have probably have to say.
Right. And that changes everything, Ken. You get the quarterback to do, what Jaden Daniels did for Washington last year, what C.J. Stroud did for Houston the year prior. You can go from bad to good quickly when your quarterback makes that kind of a leap. So, if Drake May just has that year 2 explosion, then we're going to start changing our expectations a little bit.
Can they finally beat Miami this year? Like they ain't beat Miami in the way. I don't care about beating the Jets. I don't even care if they get swept by Buffalo. Like, can you beat Miami at least one time? I feel like Miami. Everybody's talking about Miami's going down, but they've had the Patriots number the last 2-3 years.
It's crazy to think they've never beaten Tua. And
it's crazy.
You look at them and you're like, well, why does every other team seem to be able to exploit this guy and the Patriots can't seem to rattle him? But I think I'm like everybody else. I look at what's happening right now in Miami, and it certainly seems like a transition year down there. I think they still have some talent for sure, but
top heavy though.
This is where they should. The Patriots, if you get swept by Miami this year, that would be really disappointing. They should at least.
They get to see them early too. Paul, I appreciate it, man. Before I let you go, just my last question. What would be I'm a young guy. Like I covered my first Super Bowl this past year. I went to Radio Row. I actually called in to you guys and got some advice for y'all how to treat Radio Row, how to handle myself at Radio Row. I met Tom Curran and Phil Perry down there, took pictures with them. What would be some advice for a young guy like me in the media? Start my podcast. This is my Patriots podcast. Just trying to get my feet wet. What would be some good advice for me and just other people that's going to watch this show?
Yeah, I would say just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a good job. You're obviously passionate about the topic that you're handling, and you're getting out there and you're putting yourself out there. Getting down to Radio Row. That's a huge thing. That's not everybody gets to do that. So I would say take advantage of your opportunities. Listen, learn, read. Watch. Immerse yourself into what you want to do, and just keep working at it. And this is like this stuff. When I was coming through, you have your own podcast here that you're putting out there. I didn't even have. There was no such thing as a podcast when I was in college. So. I speak sometimes at these, for these classes, at various high schools and colleges. And I say the same thing. If you can't get anybody to hire you, don't let it stop you. Just get out and do it. Get your reps, get your experience doing it. So that way, when you are in a position where someone wants to to hire you, you're ready to go, and you're going to show them that you know what you're doing. You have experience, even though you've never really done it for an employer.
Yeah.
You've already done it in a number of different platforms. So I would say just keep working at it, keep doing your podcasts, and just keep at it.
I appreciate it, Paul. I'll be coming down to Boston for, I think, the 26th of September. I'm still trying to decide, do I want to go see that Steelers game or the Panthers game? But I'm going to one of those. One of those games I will be at. Haven't really decided yet, man. I'm leaning towards the Steelers because I want to see Aaron Rodgers. You got some good restaurants in the area for me and close by the stadium?
Well, are you going to – yeah, well, that's two different things. If you're going to go to Boston, obviously you can't go wrong in the North End. There's, there's a million different places you can eat down there, and you will not get a bad meal. If you're closer to the stadium, right here at Patriot Place, there's a lot of restaurants. Davio's to me would be the top of the.
I heard of Davio's.
Davio's is very good. But if you want to look like that's a little bit more high end, but there are a lot of other more casual places in and around Patriot Place. But there's a lot of different dining establishments here, and you can stay right by the stadium, so you don't have to travel very far on game day.
Okay, appreciate it, man. Maybe I can get up with you, man, while I'm down there.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you listening to Patriots Unfiltered. We have a lot of fun doing that, and I'm glad that we entertain you, because that's the goal.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Take care, Paul. Tell the guys to say hey.
All right, I will do.
All right, have a good one.
You too.